Okay, now for the second step, we are going to um, color this, and we're going to cut it. Okay, so what you will need is coloring tool. It can be color pencil if you have um, like watercolor or something else, or crayon. That's also fine, you can use that. So you can actually use color pencil. Color pencil is good for detail, like small detail, while watercolor you can be used for like the grass and so on. Okay, you will also need scissors and black marker to trace the outline. Okay, now I'm going to start color this. Now when you see this, I actually start with the color of the people. Okay, a small detail. Well, actually you can start with the big detail first, like the grass here. Yeah, now you don't have to put it too much detail, because at the end later you can actually make it better by drawing outline using black marker. Okay, now I have finished with one part. Okay, so I don't color that one, even like I used that for actually test my color before. That's fine, because when it's dry you will trace it with black, and then you will cut this part, and this will be your this will be my midground. Okay, I will continue for the next part. For the background, because it's further away, so you can actually use darker color for, because if you notice here, this one is lighter, this one I will make it darker, so it gives the impression that it's actually further away. Okay, so if you notice here, it is from light to darker, and if you have like small detail like this, you will need you need to be more careful. Okay, once again, you don't have to use watercolor. If you don't have watercolor, you can always use color pencil like this. That is still fine. This actually give the color, yeah, more accurate on the small detail. Now you see there, I'm actually drawing more detail on the trees, the bird people, when I give a bit of shadow there, and when I finish that, I will cut this and put it on top of the one. Okay, so if you see here, I finished drawing the background, sorry, painting the background, and if you notice that it is actually not neat, but I pay attention on the value, so darker to light. Okay, if you see closely here, it is actually not really neat. Don't worry, because later I'm going to use black marker to make it neat. But if you see from far away, it's actually looks okay. So I finished with the midground as well, and after this I'm going to paint the foreground. Okay, and for the foreground, I was thinking that I probably will add more elements, so it looks like it is actually in the foreground. So I will add 3 here, a tall tree that actually go on top like that. It will create the effect of this is the foreground. Okay, now I'm going to trace the background and the midground first with this. when you trace it, you can actually give more detail on the drawing, and you can be more careful when actually trace the drawing because this is what will appear in your final product. You can also trace the outline with the color color pencil too, based on the color that you have, and you can actually add more shading so it looks like it is real. Okay, you see that I'm actually finishing the drawing by giving some shading here. Okay, also for the grass here, you can actually give a bit of like shading. The further it is actually the darker. Okay, you can also give a little bit of like grass or something like that, which is actually easier when you use color pencil as well. So this is kind of like finishing, okay, finishing the drawing by giving more detail. Okay, this is like, I consider this done. It's not perfect, but I think this pretty much ready to go. I'm not going to finish the background first. I will just show you what is the next process. So the next process is I'm going to cut this. Okay, I'm going to cut this part, the one that is not needed, so you can see how it look like when it's finished later. Okay, let's start cutting. Please be careful with this one, because especially if you have really small element here, small line, a thin line like this, need to be really careful. Okay, if you see that there are so many difficult parts that to be cut, so the trick is don't try to cut it directly when the paper is this big. Okay, try to make it, just try to cut the part first roughly like this. Now it is going to be easier to cut for the detail. If you have like cutter, that will be great. Now I complete with the cutting for my midground. If you see here, I have a very thin element. Okay, you need to be careful when you're actually cutting this part, especially like this, you know, like this one. Now you have to be, now it's time for you to do problem solving on how to make this like, looks like a 3D, like this. Okay, so don't throw this paper away, because this is going to be used, okay, the paper here will be used for creating spacer. Okay, now I'm going to teach you how to create spacer. Spacer is the one that you will put in here, in between midground and background here, to create the depth of the drawing, so it looks like 3D. So you will need this one. Okay, make sure that you have the size of your spacer is equal. It's really depend on how do you want it, how deep do you want it. Okay, it looks like for a bigger part like this, you can create bigger spacer. Okay, so I'm creating something like this. Right, I will show you again. I divide it into 5 actually. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So when I fold it like this, so it will be like this. Okay, this is my spacer. So you will need glue. I actually send glue as well at home. Now try to create as many as you can. Okay, like maybe 1 here, 2, 3, 4, and here on the flag, and maybe here behind the Pakarno and Pahata here. So I will need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, around 7. Okay, I will create 7 of this. Remember, make sure it is in the equal size. Okay, that's it guys for this part. We are going to do the next part later. If you see here, it starts to shape like a paper sculpture. You see, if I actually put it as a background like this, and then I put it as a midground like this, now you can see how it will look like later. Okay, this is just the background and the midground. I haven't put the foreground yet, which makes it even better later. Okay, good luck.